Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Sharmini Perez coming to you from Baltimore. Brazilian police raided and attacked several compounds belonging to the Landless workers movement, also known as MST, early Friday morning. The raids took place in several states, including Paraná, Mato Grosso do Sul, and Sao Paulo. Police said arrests and search warrants were issued in connection with charges that MST members are suspected of participating in criminal organization, theft, trespassing, arson, false imprisonment, and illegal gun possession, among other crimes. So far, 8 MST leaders have been arrested, according to the newspaper Globo. In Sao Paulo, members of the MST school, Florestan Fernandes, said that police attacked the school with gunfire and never presented any warrants. This is a school for social movements and international education purposes, a school that I have visited several times. My last visit there was for a meeting of a network of regional journalists. Let's have a look at the MST security camera footage at the entrance of the school and some cell phone footage of what happened. An MST statement released shortly after the raid said that police are trying to criminalize MST for their efforts in fighting for land reform in Brazil. Repression against social movements has increased significantly in Brazil ever since President Dilma Rousseff of the Workers' Party was removed from office in what most people call a parliamentary coup d'etat by the Conservative Congress and Senate last August. The new president, Michel Temer, has embarked on an austerity and privatization program which has provoked a large-scale protest and resistance from social movements, where MST is at the center of such organizing efforts. At this time, the Temer government is poised to pass constitutional amendment to cap social spending for the next 20 years in spite of the population growth and the growing poverty in the country. Today, the Real News is joined by Joaquin Pinero. He's a member of the MST directorate in Rio de Janeiro. Joaquin, now this happened in several states all at the same time. It looks like it was a very coordinated effort on the part of the government. Does this mean that the national government of Michel Temer was involved in these surges against the MST?
What is happening is that all of this is happening in the context of persecution. We're struggling against the coup and for democracy in our country. This is also happening with the students, who are in the process of struggling for education, and in this moment are occupying more than 2,000 schools in the entire country. There's also repression against university students, who have already begun a process of striking and occupying over 100 universities throughout the country. The movement for workers without a home are also involved in a struggle for improving their living conditions. And today, there is a constantly intensifying process of repression against the MST. Also, last month, we were in a fight to liberate a companion who is in prison in the state of Goiás. In effect, there is an ongoing process of intensifying persecution against social movements.
Joaquin, some people are saying that this kind of a relationship between social movements and MST in particular is reminiscent of the relationship under the Cardoso government and that predated the Lula and Dilma governments. Is that correct?
When Cardoso was president, the government saw the MST as one of the main enemies of the state, and the government initiated a series of persecutions, imprisonment. It was precisely during the presidency of Cardoso when there was a massacre in Carradas, the massacre of Cumbiara, a whole process of persecutions of social movements against unions, and what we are returning to at this moment is the same modus operandi on the part of the federal government in alliance with the state governments, which are at the same political party who supported the coup.
Joaquin, I understand that the MST and other social movements are planning a day of a general strike on November 11th. Could these raids have been to squash that effort that's taking place next week?
On November 11, we have called for a national strike together with all the union federations as well as the peasant organizations. And we will be there together with the National Popular Front of Brazil and the Front of People Without Fear. For a very important day to put pressure on and to denounce the coup and the whole process of persecution of the social movements and to prevent the elimination of rights that workers have won.
Joaquin, the rest of the world is watching what's happening in Brazil, particularly after the parliamentary coup against Dilma Rousseff, and it appears that things are not going well for those who are trying to defend democracy and the rights of ordinary people, particularly their effort that has been gained after tremendous struggle in Brazil to establish a long-term democracy there. So I thank you for joining us, and I wish you all the best.
Sí, un abrazo fuerte.
And thank you for joining us on the Real News Network.